Manchester United considering hijacking Benfica's deal with PSG for 19-year-old wonder kid João Neves. The Ligt deal back on, plus United to sign 2 midfielders this summer. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this afternoon show. But before you get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. It's your best way to keep up to date with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Right, let's get straight on into it then. Just a little quick one on Leny Yoro. Apparently, he has now completed his medical, and we are expecting the official announcement from the club later on today. The deal is going to be worth £42 million up front, plus £10 million in add-ons. I wanted to bring this to the show because there's been a lot of confusion on Twitter today. There's been a lot of fake stories being put out, and a lot of people are trying to inflate the price because they always do it with Manchester United, don't they? Sky Sports are already claiming that we've spent 70 million euros on somebody who's only played 10 games. They're just putting out crap. So don't listen to the crap. The deal is 42 million guaranteed plus 10 million in add-ons. So the most money we'll possibly pay for Leny Yoro is 52 million pounds, which I think is pretty fair considering how highly regarded he is and considering how well he's done for Lille over the last couple of years. So I'm happy with this. Don't listen to the haters. The rival fans are crying, and all we can do is just lap up their tears. But anyway, moving on from that, let's talk a little bit about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We spoke about him on the show this morning, but there has been an update on that, and apparently he is nearing an exit from Manchester United to West Ham for a deal worth £18 million. Apparently an official bid is going to come from West Ham in the next day or so. That's what's being reported today. £18 million plus around £2 million in add-ons. West Ham have apparently already agreed terms with Wan-Bissaka. He wants to go back to London. Obviously, he was part of the Crystal Palace Youth Academy when he was growing up. And he's effectively agreed to the move. So this is one to definitely keep an eye on. Off the back of this, we will then most likely try and sign Ferdi Kadioglu from Fenerbahce. We had a bid rejected last week of £19 million. Fenerbahce asking for £30 million for the player. But they do want to sign Victor Lindelof. That's been widely reported. Apparently, Manchester United are asking for about 15 million euros for Lindelof. So there is an understanding that if we sold Lindelof for 15 million euros, maybe then we go and get Kadioglu for 25, 30 million euros. So it's a win-win, really. So I'm happy about that. But you can let me know in the comment section, are you happy with the news that Wan-Bissaka is leaving? And do you think this Ferdi Kadioglu guy is a good replacement? The good thing about him is he can play at right back, left back, and he can play as a central defensive midfielder. So he gives you lots of options. And I think for that reason alone, it's a no-brainer because effectively people are saying like, oh, let's go for Frimpong. Frimpong isn't a right back. He's a right wing back or a right winger. And in the current setup of 4-2-3-1, there isn't a place for Frimpong. He would be taking Garnacho's position or Rashford's position or Sancho's position if he stays. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And if we got Frimpong in our current situation, we'd still need to sign a right back because defensively, Frimpong is no better than Wan-Bissaka. Sorry. Yeah, defensively, Frimpong is terrible. Wan-Bissaka is obviously great defensively. So you'd be getting rid of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who can't defend to save his, who can defend to save his life, and replacing him with Frimpong, who can't defend to save his life. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, that's the situation on that. But what I want to ask you now, actually, and to get your answers in the comment section, is: do you think Manchester United should hijack the Benfica deal for João Neves? We'll talk about it in a couple of minutes and I'll give my opinions, but I want you to let me know, should Manchester United try and hijack that deal? I'll come back to the comments in a second, so make sure you get your answers in. I want to move over to the story about Manchester United apparently wanting to sign 2 midfielders this summer. And I mean, this is music to my ears. Our midfield has been crying out for new players for probably the last decade, if you actually think about it. It's the biggest area of the squad that needs addressing. So this is coming out from a journalist in the UK this afternoon. He's reporting that Manchester United want to sign 2 midfielders this summer. It says United will look to generate funds and then strengthen their midfield. And it says that it's hoped that this can be achieved by selling Casemiro, Hannibal and Scott McTominay. And I agree with that, you know. You get 30 million for Scott McTominay. Obviously, Fulham had a bid rejected yesterday of 17 million. We want 30. You should get that for Scott McTominay. 30 for McTominay. I would say 30 to 40 for Casemiro and maybe 5 to 10 for Hannibal. You should easily be able to raise 70 to 80 million pounds from selling those 3 players. And you would still then have Kobe Mainoo, Mason Mount, Bruno, Ericsson, who I don't think we'll be able to sell, and then this Tom Collier guy who's just come through the youth academy. If we then added 2 midfielders to that, we'd be laughing. We'd be in a really, really good position. I will talk about who those 2 midfielders are in a minute, but let me know what you think about that idea. Should we sell Casemiro, Hannibal, and Scott McTominay, and then use the funds to bring in 2 new midfielders? I personally think we should. Moving over to Matthias de Ligt. And the news this afternoon is that Manchester United are not ruling out a move for Matthias de Ligt, even after reaching an agreement to sign Lenny Yoro. It says United will still look to bring in another centre-back, though a move for de Ligt will now hinge on whether they can sell Lindelof, Maguire, or both. I said this on the show this morning, right? We still want de Ligt. He's still the number 1 target after Lenny Yoro, but finances are going to be difficult. And unless we move on Maguire and Lindelof, we're going to really, really struggle. Even for squad space. Like, if you bring in de Ligt and you still have Maguire and Lindelof, you've got way too many centre-backs then. And people like Maguire and Lindelof are on big wages. Maguire's on 200k a week. I think Lindelof's on about 150k a week. So you can't have 2 players on big, big wages sat on the bench and not playing. So it makes a lot of sense to move these people on. Obviously, as I said a couple of minutes ago, Fenerbahce are in talks to sign Victor Lindelof. So that's one player on the way out. And then in relation to Harry Maguire, I think he's going to be a lot more hard to move on, to be honest, because he's got 1 year left of his deal. He's on massive wages. He is a very unique style defender, Maguire, isn't he? He's very good physically, but he's very slow. So he'll only suit a certain style of team, and that would be someone like a West Ham or an Everton or someone who plays a little bit more defensive. I personally think we'll struggle to sell Maguire. I think it'll be very, very difficult because people will be looking at the situation saying, Man United will want a transfer fee, and then they still have to pay him 200 grand a week, which makes it very, very hard. Whereas if you look at Victor Lindelof, right, he's on about 100, 120k a week. He is the captain of Sweden. He, I think, is 28, 29. He's 2 or 3 years younger. You could see him going to a Fenerbahce and doing well there, playing at the top level for 3, 4, 5, 6 years more. Whereas there are question marks about Maguire. He's already lost his pace, although he never really had any pace. And he's probably only going to get worse from here, realistically. So I personally think Maguire will stay until next season, and then they'll let him go at the end of that deal. But you can let me know in the comment section, should we keep Maguire and Lindelof? Let me know your thoughts. And then moving on to João Neves, the news this afternoon is that apparently Manchester United are considering hijacking Benfica's proposed deal with PSG for João Neves. Apparently PSG have somewhat agreed on a fee of 75 million euros, right? For anybody who's unaware, Man United had a bid rejected, I think it was last week or the week before, of around 59 million pounds. Benfica effectively have realised they're not going to get the release clause, which was 120 million euros, and are now willing to accept 75 million euros, which I actually think is a bargain for João Neves. I do. It's about 65 million pounds roughly. And for a player of his quality at his age, imagine if we had João Neves, Kobe Mainoo, Lenny Yoro, Garnacho, Højlund, there's probably some others I've missed out there, Xerxes, all of these young talents that could literally be at the club for the next 10 years. Like, that's building for the future. And the thing with all of these players is they have a resale value. So if they come to Manchester United and they completely light the world up, then, you know, if a Real Madrid wants to come in for them, you probably would get 100, 150 million for some of these names if they reach the potential that we are hoping. Whereas, you know, some of the other people we've been linked to, like Rabiot, for example, who I'll talk about in a minute, obviously he's a good player, he has an elite mentality, but there's no resale value. Rabiot comes in, you give him massive wages, you probably pay him a massive signing on fee, and then in 2 or 3 years, he'll just leave, and you've effectively lost all that money. So I think, you know, Ineos's plan at the moment is to bring in people under the age of 25. That's what's been widely reported. And I agree with that. I think it makes a lot more sense. So me personally, I would be hijacking this deal if I was Dan Ashworth and I was part of the Ineos team, because we've already discussed there, right? You can get 40 million for Casemiro from Saudi, 30 million for McTominay, and let's say 5 for Hannibal. That's 75 million pounds. That's more money than what it would cost to go and get João Neves. And if you want to play for argument's sake there, you could then go and sign Amrabat as well, just so you have another option in the midfield, you know? So you'd replace Casemiro, McTominay and Hannibal with João Neves and Amrabat. And that would probably near enough cost about the same amount of money versus how much you'd get in sales versus how much it would cost in transfer fees. And I think that would improve our midfield massively, because Amrabat is a specialist CDM. Casemiro's legs have gone, I think. And João Neves, I think, in the next 2 or 3 years will be one of the best central midfielders in the world. Imagine that as a midfield three. João Neves, Kobe Mainoo and Bruno. I know it's very attacking, but against the lesser teams, I think you could play that and you would open the teams up. But you can let me know in the comment section below, should Manchester United try and hijack João Neves? 75 million euros is apparently the fee that PSG are close to agreeing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm going to wrap the video up here. Please make sure to smash a like on the video before you go. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. I'll be back at 6 p.m. Speak to you all soon. Bye for now.